Today we're back in South Wales meeting Amy, who is a Property X Blueprint member and sourcing client. We're here to check in on her BRR property refurb. Let's take a look around. So welcome Amy to the channel, who is not only a Blueprint program member but also a sourcing client of ours, and thanks for letting us come round and have a look at your finished property. Great project. What we're going to do as we walk around is show some before and afters, but yeah, if you could just, I guess, show us around, talk to us about your experience, that'd be great. If we start here in the sitting room.
You can see me new radiators, everything was fully plastered.
But it was always open plan, wasn't it?
It was always open plan, yeah. That corner of the wall there, above the units there, was like an alcove that they filled out for me.
Brilliant.
Just to make it like a nice flat wall.
And they've boxed in all the gas meter really nicely, haven't they? And just redecorated. But yeah, it looks really clean throughout, and I feel like they've saved things where they can. So like you've not replaced necessarily windows.
No.
You've saved and kept and used some of the same skirting.
Yeah.
So quite cost efficient. I mean, it goes without saying, this is the kitchen, but it looks beautiful, and I think it's, you know, the actual unit's perfect for the size, what you've got. So you were saying that the builder sort of just sent this over?
Yeah, the builder sent the design over, and I said, yes, I like it. Please and thank you. Put it in. the one thing he asked me specifically about the tiles. Did I want the white ones or did I want the marbled ones to match upstairs? And I just said white because
I think it actually goes much better than the kitchen.
Looks cleaner.
Yeah, and I liked the look of like the colourway with these.
Yeah. I can see appliances are Lamona, which means it's a Howden's kitchen. Is that correct?
Honestly, I don't know.
I think it does, doesn't it?
I think it is, yeah.
Lamona's,
Same one as
I think
mine.
that's Howden's appliances. So really nice, clean, and I think again it's like quite a manageable kitchen as well, so it should last a long time. The floor complements it really well. I really like this, and I've taken a picture and I'm going to go away and find this. It's online, sort of herringbone vinyl stuff.
I think it's actually Howden's as well.
Well, this is it? Well,
Yeah,
that makes sense. So. So yeah, moving into the bathroom, this room's definitely changed a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, this is my favourite, actually. It's my favourite room. I had a conversation with the builder about whether we put in an extra shower instead of having like an over shower, just because of the space in this room. I opted to do it, and I'm really pleased with my choice.
Yeah, because it's a huge room, and if you'd maybe, a lot of people might have thought about just doing the bath with the shower over, but then you'd had all this empty space in a way, didn't you?
Yeah, and because previously it was an old shower there anyway, so it already had the pipe work, so it just made sense financially to do it.
How much extra was that?
£850.
So £850 extra. I think it was a worthwhile expense.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you're comparing rentals, if there's one without a 4-piece and one with a 3-piece, then it's going to get that extra appeal, extra demand, and of course added value on top of that.
And really nice, black features, nice tiling. So they've done a great job as well.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it.
And the flooring is like a herringbone style, but it's vinyl, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
So I think it looks really good. In this room, actually, whilst we think about it, we'll overlay some B-roll, you've had the flat roof replaced.
I have, yes. So initially in the quote, we knew there was an issue anyway, so they quoted up for a repair, but when they were looking at it, they asked me if I wanted to just fully replace the whole roof, and it would be an extra £1,500, and it would come with a 20-year guarantee. So I just did it.
Yeah. I was thinking long term as an
Definitely.
investment, it's a good idea. So are you so glad you did that one?
Definitely, because when they pulled it up, it was like one roof had been put over the top of another roof that had all rotted anyway, which is why it was leaking through. So if I'd have just repaired that corner, the same issue would have occurred in a few years' time anyway.
Yeah. It's a good example of also a cost that you might not necessarily assume first of all, but then obviously in the longer term it's just so worthwhile just for that protection, and it's just for your own peace of mind as well.
Yeah, it was those unknown factors. Like if you recall, when I first spoke to you guys about sourcing for you guys, I was really strict on my budget, if you remember. And that was specifically because I expected the unexpected things to come up, and I wanted to make sure I had the budget for it. That was why.
100%.
Which is great, because it's a £1,500 hit is a bit something to stomach, isn't it? But in the long term, if you then hadn't done that, and then that's leaked through into the kitchen, which you've just had replaced, and you've got tenants living there. It's a big impact. So no, good that you've done that. And yeah, this room in general, again, really nice clean room, nice plastering, new radiator, and the carpet looks great as well.
So whilst we're here, what would you say to those potential investors that are perhaps on the fence right now, trying to decide whether it's for them or not? You know, in terms of, is it overwhelming? What would you say to an investor that is looking to get started into property?
So I'll answer the second bit first. You said, is it overwhelming?
Yeah.
I would say no. Not the way this has gone for me, not going through you guys, not with the builders. It's big. It feels like a big step because it is. It's a big commitment, but I think it's the right commitment. And I think if you're thinking about getting into investing, the thing that's stopping you is probably your emotions.
Yes.
And if you can get past them, that would be, I think, the best decision anyone could make, to be honest.
So much so, really good point. And I'm glad it's been a really good experience overall for you. Do you think builder-wise that's quite important then? Because they obviously took quite a fair bit off.
I do, yes.
Yeah.
And I also think trusting the builders you've got is a big point. So the builder commented that he and I guess, had quite a good working relationship. And that's because I have a project management background myself, and I know that sometimes you've just got to trust the team to do what you're paying them to do.
Yes.
And I know there's that element of going forward and putting your trust in someone, especially when you don't know, but if they've got good enough recommendations, if you've seen their work,
yes,
it's their job. Like, you pay them to do their job, so let them do it.
Yeah, that's
Is
true.
partly my opinion.
Whereas if you're constantly pulling them up and you're changing things, you can kind of ruin that relationship and they feel a little bit like you're watching over them, micromanaging them.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, you've got to put a bit of faith in them.
Yes.
And trust the process.
Yeah.
You know?
But I also think it's important that what you're not saying is that you actually put loads of effort into learning prior to starting. You probably knew quite a lot about the actual process of a refurb. This is just your first attempt at it.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, so I actually bought my personal house at the beginning of last year, which is, this house is in better condition now. I haven't finished my own.
You're going to move in or?
But yeah, I think I spent most of my time focusing on learning the process for buy-to-let, and I've put all my energy and all my money into this house.
Yeah.
And I think I've got a lot from it.
What was the communication like with the builder as well?
Really easy. So in the blueprint you mentioned, especially if you're like remote. So I live only 45 minutes away, but I didn't want to be too hands-on with it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in the blueprint, I think it was like at the end of every Friday, or end of every week, whatever, a video with like updates and things like that. We didn't do it every Friday, but often.
Yes.
As often as I was happy with. I didn't have to chase him once for it. I think because he has buy-to-lets himself, so does his business partner. He knows the game.
Understand.
Yeah.
He gets what the client needs and he delivers.
All worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, true. And that takes the stress away. Although you're not like actively here and stressing out, you can still feel there's a weight on you when you're like mid-refurb and like the house is worse than when you bought it because everything's now gone and all the walls are sort of stripped back. But just getting those updates, I think it takes a bit of the stress away, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And I also think as well on the refurb side, not that you asked, but I'm going to say it anyway. It was like, because it was quite a full refurb, the only thing we weren't really doing initially was the boiler and the main roof. Yeah. Really, everything else was being done. And I think with knowing that was happening, I knew there wasn't a whole lot of unforeseen things that might come up.
Yep. You're covering every corner in a way, aren't you?
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
This room, again, kind of similar to what we said in the last room, like really nice plastering, good painting, good flooring. Anything else changed in here?
The boiler.
The boiler.
So on the day I was coming to do snagging, the second round, I mentioned to the builder, have you guys tested the radiators?
Yeah.
And they were like, he said he wasn't sure. He had a look and it was unplugged, so he was like, no. And then the next day he texted me and was like, can I call you? Like, yeah. The boiler had gone. But they changed that really quickly.
Okay.
It was Thursday afternoon, they called me. Friday afternoon it had been fitted. Okay, they got on it really fast because we were so close to the end.
How much extra?
$2,000.
Okay. But now you know literally everything has been done internally.
Yes.
So hopefully that brings a bit of peace of mind, even though that's not ideal.
Agreed, not ideal, but again, like so much has been done now, it's actually made me reconsider, and I haven't quite settled on yet, whether I'm going to self-manage or have a letting agent do it, just because so much has been done. Fingers crossed, right? The plan is that it'll be relatively low maintenance.
That's a good discussion
for a while. And so I'm currently weighing up those options.
Okay.
I'm going to see how much things cost around here and make my decision after I've had a few conversations, I think.
And I think the great thing about that is, you could start by self-managing, and then down the line, if it's either too difficult or you haven't got the time for it, then you can always pass it over.
Exactly.
And also, a lot of it does depend on the tenant as well, as I'm sure you know. Most tenants are great. You always get one tenant that might be a bit more challenging. But and going back to the boiler as well, I think it's important to note that when you buy a boiler, you expect it to last for like 20 years now, don't you? So when you're purchasing a property, even though it's old, you might be like, oh, it should be able to squeeze another 5 or 10 years, maybe, give or take. But then you just don't know. But at least you've got that, obviously this will have a new guarantee, won't it?
It does,
and, realistically, you're not going to be replacing this for a long, long time. And you don't have to
touch
wood.
But good. Yeah. No, I think she'd be really pleased with what you've had done here and the finished products, and for a tenant to come live here, like, amazing house to live in, isn't it? So on to the next one.
Basically just like refinance, put my money, do a flip, and then buy another.
That's it. You kind of, as soon as you finish, you think, oh, I'm really proud of that. Right, let's do another one.
Next.
Literally. Literally.
We'll talk about the view in a minute, because that's amazing. I want to talk about the garden, or the courtyard and the space that you've got here. What did you do and change, and why?
Initially there was a fence going about halfway, and I asked them to put it around the perimeter instead, and would make use of the space there. Initially it was not fully flat and it was full of rubbish, cleared of rubbish obviously, but I asked them to flatten it out and then put gravel over the top of it, so it's like no maintenance, but tenants can utilise the space. And then I also asked them to put a gate at the bottom as well.
I think the important things there is that's now a really usable space. Like, this is actually quite a low maintenance usable space for tenants, but also for anyone with a family, you've provided a very safe space with the gate and with the fence as well. So.
To be honest, part of the reason I went for that fence was safety. I just could imagine people going to sit on the wall and just toppling, or like a child just leaning and falling. It's
now they can't.
Accident waiting to happen.
Childproof. And I said I'd mention the view. The view's epic with all the houses you can see, the rolling hills. This is something which I've said a few times, but like, I love Liverpool in the northwest, and when I got there, but it's just row after row after row of just like the same houses, and you like back onto a courtyard, another house. Whereas it's amazing to have this out the back here, and I think this is quite unique to South Wales. So we've spoken about your surprise boiler and the nice surprise that was for you. But what other things have come up along the way that have taken you by surprise?
The main thing I briefly touched on earlier was the roof, the small bit of the roof. I opted, like I said, to replace the whole roof instead of repair the patch. It was 1,500 extra, bit of a hit like you said, but I'm glad I did it. Generally, the snagging, there haven't been too many ugly surprises. The builder was really receptive to my comments. I didn't have a lot, he did most of it, he picked up most of it himself and then came to me with it, which was great. There is one bit of snagging still outstanding, which I've, to be fair, only noticed last night. I've got a little bit of damp in the kitchen. We knew it was there. They've tried to treat it. Treatment obviously hasn't worked, so I'm going to go back to the builder. But I'm not worried about it because the builder has been so good up till now. Haven't had any issues. I'm confident that he knows what he's doing, and I'm confident he's going to get it sorted out like as soon as possible.
Good. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, if you had like a builder where you were battling with stuff, then you might be nervous if that comes up. But
definitely.
The fact that he's so on it, it's really good. So, and it's just a small area, so hopefully he'll be able to sort that.
He wouldn't want to leave the project like that either. He wants to stamp his quality trademark on it and get it fixed, and then go from there.
Well, we've already had conversations about like my next one. We're both keen to work again together, so I'm, like I said, I'm not worried about it.
That's really
good to know.
That for me is the sign of like a good deal done. Is if you still have the energy and you want to do the next one, you're hungry for it, and then if you are also still wanting to work with that builder, like that's a really good sign, I think. So, whilst we're here, I'd love to ask you about the numbers, as that's what everyone watches these videos for. Purchase price.
55,000.
55,000, which was a steal, wasn't it? Which is good. How much have you spent in total on the refurb with the extra added?
Well, so the planned refurb was 27,400.
Yeah.
There were a couple of bits that weren't particularly optional, like the boiler, which was an extra £2,000, and replacing the roof, which was 1,500. So that's an extra 3.5 there. And then there was a little bit extra on the shower, the separate shower that I opted for, and wanted to do a bit extra in the garden. So the total I've spent on refurb is £32,725.
Okay, brilliant. And what we initially said was about 100,000 for the end valuation. Obviously, we don't know where we're at with that yet, but based off of what we feel, and I think what you feel, having spoken to you about it today, we think it's probably actually more than that. Now the market's pushed on a bit, the quality of the refurb's really good. So I guess we're hoping for
110.
110. Might even push it a bit more.
I'm going to push my luck and see what I can get.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Good. And then final thing being the rental, we said 625.
Yeah.
But again, we're thinking or hoping for a bit more, aren't we?
Yeah, comparables are 700.
Yeah.
Like 675 worst case scenario, let's say now.
Yeah.
Which I'm obviously very pleased with.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's only one property that was on the market, and that was added yesterday within a quarter of a mile, and only 5 within half a mile. So there's nothing on the market right now. Demand is so high.
Yeah, we always find that with properties around here is I think there's a lot of people we talk to who are like sceptical that they'll rent out, and actually it's quite the opposite. You get really good tenants, working professionals, they seem to go really quickly. And anyone that we've worked on through sourcing or through my blueprint has managed to rent really quick. So I've got absolute faith that you're going to get more than you thought, and it'll go really quickly. So yeah, you have to come after me if that doesn't happen. But no, I've got every faith. So, and you've got the evaluation coming after, haven't you?
I do,
so,
yeah.
We'll be able to confirm that.
Oh, I'm excited for you. That's going to be amazing.
you.
So, but no, thank you very much for letting us have a look round, sharing everything with us, and I think it'll bring a lot of value to people on the channel.
Yeah, I hope so.
After leaving the property, Amy had a valuation carried out for both sale and rental figures. The recommended sale price came in at a whopping £130,000, and the rental price was £700 per month, which was way more than our initial predicted £625. So a good result all round for Amy, and a well-deserved one too. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.